Welcome to the Unbearables podcast. I'm Brandon Ruiz, and I'm here with
Emilio
and Jack Cowart.
And today we're going to talk about basically how this Lakers team is going to coexist with each other, because I don't really know exactly how.
Right.
Yeah, obviously LeBron is the biggest story, and
for real,
for real, and the team that LeBron
I don't know,
has.
McGee's a good.
Man, he was a good signing. You know.
What I was saying was the team that LeBron has around him now is much different in terms of composition than most of his past teams. Because in the past, Brandon, you and I have been talking, and lately it's been LeBron plus shooters, and that's not really the case anymore.
It doesn't really seem like that even seemed to work super well the last time around.
Yeah.
So maybe this team might be a little bit better. It's just a little iffy on how they're going to mesh together, because they do have a lot of players that play the same position.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I find that a little interesting. But also what I find interesting is that he has more people who can create their own shot. But even in the past, when he did have players that could create their own shots, even on the Cavs, like, they didn't always get their opportunities to do that,
right,
because LeBron had to have his hands on the ball a lot. So what's going to have to happen to work here? And is it going to work right away, or is it going to take some more time?
Well, off the bat, I'm still trying to figure out what the Lakers are really doing, because they picked up McGee, Rondo, Stevenson, and I'm just like, is this the lineup they're planning?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this what they want to go with?
Well,
or are they trying to set up, well, I don't know what they're trying to do. Some people are like, they're just trying to set themselves up in a position in which they can blow up the team later on, which I'm like, okay, but that didn't even work for the Cavs.
Yeah, like, why
would you do that? And the reality is, LeBron's always been surrounded by shooters, and that's always where he's preferred to be, and that's not the case here at these Lakers. But what I'm worried about is exactly what you were saying. A lot of these players that have played with LeBron James in the past and are really good at creating their own shot became worse at creating their own shot. And that just makes sense because they just didn't have the ball. So, of course, if you're not doing something, you're going to get worse at it. And that is a lot more scary for me, for this Lakers team, because that can hurt a lot of this young talent.
Well, it can also hurt them. I can see what you're saying, because it can hurt them because it can hurt their development.
Correct.
Because you become a certain player at a certain point. And a lot of these players are going to reach that point very soon. So unless they're given time to, make themselves who they want to be, it's going to hurt this Laker team. So a lot of people were saying that if they got LeBron James, that's cool. If they didn't get LeBron James, then that's still cool. But which do you think is better?
For the Lakers?
Yeah, getting LeBron, or just if they were decided, you know what, I'm just going to keep on sticking with this rebuild, and we'll see how it goes from there.
It's a tough call. I mean, obviously LeBron gives you the best chance now. But with all the roster concerns that we have, I can see how you might have questions about that. If they didn't get LeBron, I still would have been happy. I really like that young Lakers core, and I think they could be real contenders a few years down the road, which they don't have the time to do that now with LeBron.
No, they have to do it. I'm assuming LeBron, because he signed the 4-year deal, I'm assuming LeBron understands that they're not going to contend this season. Because, they have LeBron James, which is always a plus in almost any situation. But the difference is that they don't have the talent, I feel like, to compete with the Warriors, because these players are still just too young. Absolutely. We don't know exactly what they're going to become. They could become great players. I think Brandon Ingram has a lot of potential, but it's still a work in progress, and they need more pieces.
Yeah, I think this is a developing year for the most part. What this team composition says to me is that this could be the start of LeBron's transition to playing off ball more often. Because, like you said, we've seen him need to be ball dominant, but with Rondo on the team and Lonzo on the team, and even Kyle Kuzma, who can create his own shot pretty well, LeBron doesn't need to hold the ball all the time now.
And I feel like that could be really good, because for the little parts of the last playoffs where LeBron was starting to actually play off the ball, it seemed like it was for the betterment of his team, at least from what I saw. So it definitely is going to be interesting to play with players that have been used to, up to this point, playing with the ball in their hands. Because, Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, when they get the ball from Lonzo, they usually go in for to score because that's what they do. Like that's what they know how to do. So if they don't get that time with LeBron, they're probably not going to be the same players because I don't think that those types of players are going to just be cool. It's like just being spot-up shooters. I feel like if you're a spot-up shooter, it takes away from your game just in general. So I would like to see him play off the ball more, like as if he is one of those pieces, which is going to be tough because LeBron isn't one of those pieces. He isn't a Kyle Kuzma or a Brandon Ingram. He's a LeBron James.
Right, he's just in his own category there. And the other thing that concerns me is it's all good right now, and it'll probably be all good for a while, you know? Lonzo will be distributing the ball. James is making this transition to play more off the ball. And that's all good, and that's all great. Until they're not doing well. Until things aren't going the way things were planned, and then LeBron starts to panic.
Yeah,
because it's the exact same thing we saw in the first half of the season with that first Cavs team with Derrick Rose. He panicked, and then the whole team got blown up.
Yeah, the chemistry was
and it didn't
crazy.
work out.
Yeah, it destroyed the chemistry of the team.
Absolutely.
And the Lakers can't afford that.
Right, exactly. They can't afford that, and what makes me most afraid is my biggest thing at first was I thought LeBron James wouldn't have came unless there was a star that would have been here before him.
Yeah.
And that was a risk because you'd be losing some probably of the young core, which I don't want. I think is the worst move the Lakers could do right now in the long run, obviously, in the long run. And but we avoided that problem. LeBron James is here, and so is Ingram, Kuzma, and Lonzo. But hopefully it'll stay that way.
Because that's the problem with the LeBron James team just
in
recent history is that you don't know. But I feel like with this team, LeBron is making a commitment to seeing how it goes in the long run. Because all the other teams were veteran teams, that he has been on. They have the players already set up for him. This team, if he likes it the way it is, and I'm assuming that's why he signed there, unless there's some pitch that they told him about that they're going to blow up the team or something, but it's not looking like that's the case because they don't want to trade Ingram or Kuzma. The only player that it looks like they're okay with trading has seemed to be Lonzo, but even at that, they don't want to trade him for nothing. So it seems like LeBron is saying that he is okay with playing with the team currently, but do you really think that in hindsight, LeBron is going to be okay not contending for a championship when that's what he's been doing for the past 9 seasons?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I've been a big fan of his going to the finals every year streak, but I'm not counting on it this year. I think that streak's done.
Probably.
There's a very, very low chance that they get out of the second round, I feel, and even that's a long shot to be honest because the West is so stacked right now.
Yeah, it depends on who they play, too. Yeah, because it does depend a lot on who they play. Now, I'm not going to discredit LeBron because, he has done some crazy things in this league. So
even getting this past team to the finals was slightly impressive, although they were in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, well, that's what needs to be said there. But I just wonder what he's going to do with this team. And a lot of people were kind of well, me too. I was wondering why they signed Lance Stevenson and Rondo. Apparently, that was part of the pitch that Magic, I read there's just a report, that Magic gave to LeBron. So LeBron wanted to play with Stevenson and Rondo. Who would have thought?
It's kind of funny because those are all sort of aggressive vocal personalities, and it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh together, especially when you're trying to lead these young kids.
And especially when the guy just blew in your ear recently.
Yeah. Maybe LeBron is trying to force his way into playing off the ball.
Yeah. Because
you have Lonzo, you have Rondo, you have Lance Stevenson, all players that are passers. They're known for more of their passing on their offensive game. Lonzo before was known as more of an all-around type of player. I'm thinking LeBron is probably hoping he turns into that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming at least. But currently, all passers. So he's trying to force himself into that role. Who knows though? It's tough to say. Now, I still wonder what that would even look like. It's definitely going to take away from LeBron's numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like he's not going to get probably as many assists as he has got before. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting problem to have because having LeBron James on your team is always if that's part of a problem, then that's a pretty awesome problem
Right.
because they have him locked up for 4 years. Even if this doesn't work out right, LeBron is locked up for 4 years. I don't know if his contract has a no trade clause. I don't know that.
It doesn't. He can be traded.
So if he can be traded, that's even better
Mm-hmm.
because if they decide that they don't like LeBron on the team, they could get anything they want for LeBron James. Anything, like almost anyone is available if you're deciding to trade LeBron James, which I don't know. Maybe the only player that gets more than LeBron James right now is Kevin Durant because he's younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Makes
that is
sense.
that is ridiculous. So if it doesn't work out, it might still work out for the Lakers. Maybe. Even LeBron at the back end of the contract might give you a lot because LeBron doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Mhm.
I know he's human and he will, but LeBron at 36, I'm pretty sure is still going to be a pretty good LeBron.
Yeah, and the fact that he's
Absolutely.
here with this team is sort of hedging his bets because maybe if he was playing like a one-man team kind of game, maybe he would start to slow down. But like on a team with all this ball movement, he might not slow down as quick as he would have otherwise.
Yeah, well, hopeful ball movement at least.
I think the ball movement is going to be really fun to watch. The shooting, maybe not so much.
If it works out well, yeah, I think so. But we'll have to see. But who do you think is going to Sorry. What do you think their starting lineup is going to look like?
Well, at point guard, it's a tough call between Lonzo and Rondo actually, because they offer similar things, but you want to give more minutes to Lonzo because he's your point guard of the future.
Right, because you can get those minutes back, to say, because Rondo, you give him the extra minutes, you're really hurting him more than anything because he's older.
Yeah.
I think also Rondo would be better playing with the second unit just because he'll give them better looks.
Mhm.
And usually the second unit doesn't have the same type of ball movement as the first unit has. So I just feel like Rondo might just be more effective in that situation. But we'll see. I think I would rather have Lonzo at point guard. But
Yeah.
what about shooting guard?
In terms of the rest of the lineup, actually, I think there won't be that much question about it. Ingram at shooting guard,
Absolutely.
LeBron
You think
obviously.
Ingram at shooting guard?
I think so. They do have KCP. They have Josh Hart and Stevenson if you want them to play the two. But I think Ingram's their best bet. He has the most potential, I think, out of those guys.
He does, in my opinion, have the most potential. I will say that. My only problem is that Ingram, I don't think has, and maybe his length helps with this, has enough lateral quickness for the modern NBA guard.
Mm.
And I think Kuzma has more of that than Ingram does. Now, I think Ingram can still do it, but I feel like Ingram would be better suited to defend players of his own speed. So I would actually like to see maybe Kuzma at shooting guard instead.
Really?
Yeah, just because of for defense. Now maybe it doesn't really. I guess it doesn't matter. Your defensive assignment could be anyone. It's just your coach just assigns it to you.
Yeah.
But I just feel like defensively, maybe that would be better. Just because for longevity too, having Ingram running up and down the court like that, I don't think helps him out. I think Kuzma will be able to do that. Ingram has already had injury problems. I don't want him getting any more. So I want him to play at the pace I feel like he should be playing at, and I think that is more suited towards small forwards and power forwards than it is to shooting guards because I think he's just too big of a guy to be doing that.
I got you. Kuzma did play a lot of small forward and power forward in the season past.
Yeah.
So him moving to shooting guard, that would be an interesting call.
I think I that's why. But the thing is though, this isn't my ideal lineup. Like, I would hope they have a real shooting guard to play shooting guard. Like that's the whole thing. They don't though. I mean, they have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, they have Josh Hart, but both of those guys, we don't know exactly like what they're going to give you.
Yeah.
We don't know how they're going to fill in. And I don't want Lance Stevenson starting. I'm sorry. Lance, he does a really good job in what he does, but you're going to need shooting.
Yeah, Lance ain't going to be in the question for the starting lineup, I think. He's like a perfect bench player.
So, what do you guys think though? For small forward,
I'm gonna go
I'm
with
not sure, man.
LeBron James.
yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty easy question. What if he plays power forward and just like tricks us all out?
It wouldn't be out of the question.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it would be better for his teammates, and so maybe he does it.
With
But
all this talk of switchability on defense being one of the most important things in the NBA lately, like positions on the Lakers might not actually matter because they have a lot of the guys who can switch well and are of similar size.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is, though, you don't want them doing that all the time, because you don't want people who don't have the best lateral quickness to be guarding people who are really fast, because that's straining their body.
Yeah.
Now, if they get more athletic and stuff like that, and some things change, that's a whole different argument. But it just depends.
And then at center, they actually do have a bit of a decision to make there because their center roster at the moment is Zubac, JaVale McGee, Mo Wagner, and they might sign Brook Lopez still. And that's 4 guys who I don't think Wagner would get the starting job, but those other 3 guys, any of them could.
See, I think Wagner looks better probably with Rondo in the second unit.
Yeah.
I think that's where he would fit better in currently in his NBA career. So it's going to start soon. But part of me feels like if they don't get Brook Lopez back, I'm assuming JaVale McGee.
And I don't like JaVale McGee starting. I don't think that's a good decision. I think he's been more effective off the bench, and his numbers at Golden State prove that, especially in the playoffs. But plus, Brook Lopez and JaVale McGee are 30. So it's like, I don't know. Who are you going to give
It's
him
crazy
more
that
minutes?
Brook Lopez and JaVale McGee are the same age. You would never assume. I'm going to be honest. Like, Brook Lopez, I mean, he looks like he's more of on the decline, but I guess like it's because he plays more minutes. You can notice that than JaVale, because JaVale does not have the same type of wear and tear that Brook Lopez has on his career.
Oh, definitely not.
But
Which is an argument on, why maybe he should start, I guess.
maybe. But I think I'd rather have Brook Lopez playing in the starting lineup than JaVale McGee, but they still have to
still have to
re-sign him.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking JaVale McGee, but power forward. So were you thinking Kuzma for power forward
I
then?
was, yeah.
I have Kuzma for power forward.
See, I like Kuzma at power forward. I actually do. My whole thing though, or small forward, power forward, small forward. But you have LeBron James now, so
Yeah.
that can't happen. So it's like, unless LeBron wants to play power forward for some reason, which he definitely could do. I don't think that's really a question.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an interesting lineup. I think the only problem is that you don't have a shooting guard.
Yeah.
And if Lonzo learns how to shoot, though,
Now we're in a different.
position.
this is a
Yeah,
different
now
team.
it's a completely different team, because Lonzo. Let me tell you guys something. So there's this interesting statistic that I read that says Lonzo Ball is one of the 3 players that were 20 years or younger and average at least 10 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal a game. Now, who do you guys think the other 2 players were?
At 20 or younger?
Yeah, 20 or younger.
Oof.
So you guys have any guesses? You can throw out just a guess. None?
No.
All right. LeBron James and Magic Johnson.
Wow.
I am not saying Lonzo Ball is going to be those guys, but that is an interesting club to be a part of, because everyone talks about how Lonzo didn't play to his potential last season, and he didn't. But he certainly did play well in a lot of other categories.
Oh, yeah.
It was his scoring and his shooting that brought him down, which are very important in the NBA.
But he was doing some dirty work.
But yeah, he did the things he needed to do, and he played pretty good defense when he was on. It was solid. I mean, remember that one play where he did block James Harden, and I know James Harden is saying is the best isolation player in the league right now. So that's saying something when you do that to him, especially because he's also really good at drawing fouls. Like, that's saying something about Lonzo. So I feel like Lonzo has a lot of talent. He has a lot of things he still has to prove. But it's also interesting because I think he's also, even though he's a part of that group and he did do a lot of good things, I think it's also interesting that Lonzo revealed his torn meniscus to prevent what the Lakers are, like, this was a report, the Lakers believe, to prevent a trade. Which is pretty interesting, because the torn meniscus, he will be fine by training camp. That's what is believed at this point. But Why do you think his camp did that?
I think exactly that.
For the trade.
To avoid the trade.
Dude, I think it's kind of crazy though that he actually that his camp would actually be that afraid of getting traded, because why does it matter? I mean, maybe it matters to his dad that he plays on the Lakers and to Lonzo, but I mean, if you are a good player in the NBA, like you're gonna be able to play anywhere.
Yeah.
And Lonzo's the type of player that he's a team player.
Right.
It's not like it's not like the team is going to make him worse. Like he's going to be him no matter what, I feel like. So does he just really want to play with LeBron James?
I'm not fully sold that it actually happened, but if it did, then it was a really dumb move by Lonzo's camp, because Magic Johnson is ruthless. Like that's not going to gain Lonzo any favors with Magic.
No, I don't think it will. And I also feel like that's kind of not believing in your team, because maybe they're saying, oh, so you think that we were just going to trade you? You think we're just going to do that? Now, if they weren't planning on doing that, that might make them feel a little uneasy about Lonzo, and that he thinks he has control of the team. And it seems like, LeVar Ball talking about how LeBron was going to be in the Lakers, all that type of stuff. Now, some people they talked about that, and they're like, but was he wrong, though? But was he wrong? You mean, like, whew. And I'm not saying he has any say in any of this on the team, but this Ball family, it does seem to a lot of people, like the image is that they have a lot of say on this Lakers team, which probably isn't the case, but you know how people get when you try to take away their power from them.
Yeah, it's LA too, so the whole media is going to make a big deal out of it. I don't think the Ball family has that much power, but
I don't either.
The fact that the rumor even came out is something to keep an eye on.
And the reason I don't buy it that the Ball family have so much say, it's because it's Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
It's Magic Johnson. He's not just going to be swayed by any random dad. And I mean, LeVar Ball is no random dad, and I actually have a lot of respect for him, but it's Magic Johnson.
See, I also feel like Rob Pelinka has a lot more to do with this than Magic Johnson does, because, I mean, I'm assuming that he has had more involvement in the picks.
Probably, yeah.
Except for maybe Lonzo. So I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Now, he gets credit from Magic, but everyone's always looking at Magic and saying, like, oh, he's the one who's creating this team. He's the one who's getting all this done. And he might have helped in getting LeBron James. I feel like that's definitely something that happened. But I don't think he deserves all the credit like people are giving him. So I just feel like the draft is important. And another team that drafted a ton of players in this draft was the Philadelphia 76ers. They had, I think 5 draft picks.
Trust the process, man.
Yeah, I mean, trust the process. If it's going to give you 5 draft picks, it's like almost half the team. Like half their current roster in draft picks. That's ridiculous. But what's going on with them?
I think their starting lineup is going to look the same as it did last season with Simmons, Redick, Covington, Sarge, and Embiid, but their bench is going to be a little different because they did lose Ersan Ilyasova.
Yep.
It's not known what they're going to be doing trade-wise because they have a lot of contracts to get rid of and all those picks that you need to make room for. Yeah. So outside of the starting 5, I'm not really sure what's going on with them.
They also lost Marco Bellinelli.
Yeah, that's true. He went to the Spurs.
They lost 2 players that were actually key elements on their team because for the 76ers, I mean, it's no secret that Ben Simmons can't shoot. And they lost 2 3-point shooters. So I'm a little concerned in that area. Because
they did draft 4 guards, though, right?
I believe so.
Wow.
What that says to me is that they're not fully confident in Markelle Fultz regaining his abilities. Because drafting all those guards, that's 4. A big deal.
Yeah.
4 guards.
See, I feel like Markelle though did show some flashes. I don't think he should start though. I do not think he should start. I think he should definitely be in the second unit and working his way back into finding his own like he did in the end of last season.
Yeah,
right.
And towards the end of the season, he got a lot of minutes. He actually did really great. He beat Lonzo as the youngest to put up a triple-double. Mm-hmm. But then when the playoffs came, he stopped getting those minutes because Brett Brown couldn't rely on him anymore.
Right, and I'm with you there, Brandon. I think the best thing for him, even though if he doesn't feel this way, the best thing for him is to just give him some time, especially for the longevity of his career. He's young, and it's only going to be his second year. I mean, really, 1.5. But but yeah, if he wants to protect himself, if he wants to do what's best for his interests in the long run, I think just swallowing your pride and sitting, it's going to be the best idea.
And I feel like it shows what kind of player you are too, because I mean, he hasn't really proven anything yet. So for him to demand to start would really say something about him as a player, because first of all, you're not looking out for what's best for your team, and second of all, you haven't proven anything yet to make those such demands like that.
Yeah.
I feel like JJ Redick should definitely be starting over him currently.
Oh, absolutely.
That could change.
You're going to need his 3-point shooting too.
Well, you're going to have to. And I mean, while Markelle Fultz could probably become a shooter, I'm assuming, it's a possibility. JJ Redick is a proven shooter, an over 40% shooter, and you need that for Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons, if he doesn't get better at shooting, you're gonna need someone to make up for that, and you can't really make up for that. And if I'm being honest, because you can surround someone with other shooters, right? But the problem lies that when you have the ball in your hands, you can't do it yourself, though. And what if you can't get the ball to those other guys? So you can mask it, but you can't completely make it go away. So if you're Ben Simmons, I'm pretty sure he realizes this, you have to get better at shooting, because you are going to hurt your team if you don't. You can't have people backing off of you from, say he's at the 3-point line, and them being almost touching the paint, which I've seen multiple times.
Yeah.
You can't have people doing that, because first of all, that's where he scores. So your defender is waiting for you, and you don't have the confidence to shoot when you have all the space in the world. Any other player in the league is probably, well, not any other player, but most players in his position are going to take that shot. But he can't. So that hurts his team, because that hurts spacing, because now you have less room on the court because they're just giving that all to you, because they know you can't shoot. You are not dangerous from there. So it hurts their team. So you can mask it. You can mask it all you want. But at the end of the day, he is a player that gets used too much in that Philadelphia system. And I'm not saying he gets used too much. I'm just saying, like, he has a high usage rating.
Yeah.
And so, like, he has the ball in his hands a lot, and that's just going to hurt them in general, because you're going to see that. And the Celtics saw that. The Celtics exposed him with that. And you can't have that happen again, especially if you want to beat the Celtics. So that's kind of where I'm coming. But he's definitely the point guard, though. He's definitely their starting point guard.
No doubt. But
they do still have problems, sadly, for them. They were really banking on getting LeBron James, it seemed like. And it's sad that there can't be multiple LeBron James in the league, I guess, for them, for their sake. For my sake, I'm glad, because I like that LeBron is so much better than everybody else, because it's cool. Because it's cool. Like, it's cool to see generational talents, because they're that. So they're still going to have Robert Covington there at small forward, which is not bad, but it isn't what you need.
I mean, I like him a lot.
Especially if you're trying to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think.
The Philly defense was like one of the best in the league last year, and a big part of it was actually Covington.
Oh, yeah, no, Covington does play solid defense.
Like, he might be one of the best defenders in the league.
But the problem is that he can't give you, though, what you need completely, because there are too many gaps in that team. You know what I mean? It seems like in this league you need at least 3 stars to win now. You can't just have 2.
And a lot of people say a big 3 ain't enough.
Yeah,
like, you
even then.
say that all the time.
Big 3 ain't enough, and it's like, well, how much? Like, what does your salary cap look like? Like, you know what I mean? You have to pay people, and it's hard. That's why it's so hard right now, because the Warriors, they are an established team, so they can afford people who are willing to take pay cuts to be on that team. But if you're on a team like the Sixers, who hasn't established anything, how are you going to get anyone to take a pay cut to come to you, unless they already want to come to you?
Right, absolutely. And the thing is, it's really proven versus potential. And when you're proven, you got that leverage, and that's just that.
And it seems like if they're going to get out of where they are at, it's going to be through the draft, which lucky for them, they trust the process, and they get some draft picks, and so good for them. I also do like this rookie that they I don't think they drafted, but they picked him up. His name is Isaac Bonga.
Bonga, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about him for a while. Now, no one really talked about him, which I understand because I don't think he was drafted. So
Yeah, he just came out of Australia, right?
Yeah, and he has a lot of raw talent, and I hope that he could be a small. I mean, he's a point guard, but he's listed as a point guard, but I think he's like 6'9". So I don't think he's going to be playing point guard forever, or at all, because they have Ben Simmons. So I think he's going to definitely be he's going to fill in that small forward role, hopefully eventually for them. Not like as a starter. Well, hopefully he gets to that point. But if he gets that shot down, I think there's a lot that he can do for this team, and they need that. They're going to need some small forward to come up in the draft, because I don't think they're pulling in any big names anytime soon, especially because some of the biggest names were just signed to teams like Paul George and LeBron James, and Kevin Durant I don't think is leaving the Warriors anytime soon. So it kind of sucks for them. And then they have Dario Saric at power forward.
He's great, I think. He adds a lot to the team, and he shoots well, he rebounds well. He might be my favorite player on the Sixers, to be honest with you.
For real?
Yeah.
Even more than
forgot about Joel Embiid?
Yeah, Joel Embiid.
I'm not saying he's a better player, but he's my favorite because he adds so much to the team, I think.
He does do a lot. You're right. When you shoot them 39% from the three, that definitely helps your team out, especially if you're a big man, because you're stretching the floor out.
Right, exactly.
When your floor doesn't always get stretched out the way it should because of Ben Simmons. But I mean, my favorite player on the team is definitely Joel Embiid.
Yeah,
definitely Joel Embiid. That dude, I feel like, could be so much in this league if he stays healthy. Who's stopping Joel Embiid? I've never seen anyone slow him down, really, like in recent history at least. Who has slowed down Joel Embiid?
Hassan Whiteside did once.
Yeah. That is true.
For one game, and then Embiid sort of... Wait, did Embiid played in the Heat series, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he did. And Hassan was supposed to be the one to stop him, but he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, because Joel Embiid has so much talent.
And it really seemed like the Heat were really banking on that, too.
Yeah, like Joel Embiid is a big man that can move. Like, I haven't seen a big man, I guess, with his type of like dribbling ability, like his ball handling. I haven't seen that before. I mean, maybe I'm not thinking straight, but have you guys ever seen anyone who is that big and could handle the ball that well?
No, I think he's a specimen of his own kind, and that's exactly why he's so dangerous. It's because he is a big man who's good at offense, but is also still good at defense.
He's elite on defense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he was number 2, which I don't, and like for the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he should have been number 2. He should definitely have been number 3. But
who do you have over him?
Who do I have over him?
Yeah.
Well, I think Anthony Davis should have won the defensive player of the year, and Rudy Gobert at number 2.
I can't say I can't say I agree, but I'm a big Jazz fan, so I might be a little biased.
Well, I'm just saying, like, and there was like 4, like, so we looked at, I think, 5 really big defensive statistics, and we actually talked about this in a prior podcast.
Yeah,
and Anthony Davis, in comparison to Rudy Gobert, did better in 4 of them. So it was defensive win shares, I think defensive rebounds and steals, blocks, and I forgot what the other one was, but no, I think that's it. Yeah, steals, blocks, and that was 4 of them. And part of me feels like it was a lot better too with some of them. Part of me feels like he got gypped on that. But just going back to what we're saying, Joel Embiid, he's still really young, and he still has a lot of growing to do. And that's scary on its own.
Right, he started playing basketball when he was like 13, right, or something like
that?
Yeah,
he didn't start playing basketball until he was like 13, 14, which is ridiculous. How do you make it to the NBA like that?
A freak of nature.
Well, I guess if you're like 7 feet tall, it does help. But if it does give you a little bit more of a chance. But still, I do like this. I do like what the Sixers are doing. I just really hope that things work out for them. I really think they should have kept Mikal Bridges, because he would have definitely filled in that small forward spot that they need right now for scoring. Robert Covington does a lot of things for you, but he doesn't score at the capacity you need him to do.
He's weird in that sense because sometimes he does. He'll go on like a week-long streak where he'll go way off and keep scoring, and that's actually how he got his contract reworked last season. Like he was on a much cheaper deal, and then he was playing so well to start off the season, and they gave him a bigger contract. But then after he got the contract, he went into a slump, and it took him until I don't know, February to get out of it.
But that's the thing, though. I don't think Mikal Bridges is going to face that as much because I feel like so much of his game is due to his offense. Like he can play really good, really solid defense as well. I mean, because he went to Villanova. You know, it's a really good college. But I don't know. I'm still upset about that, to be honest with you guys. But I think that'll be it for today, unless you guys want to talk about something else.
I think we're good.
All right, cool. Well, this was the Unbearables podcast. I'm Brandon Ruiz, and I'm here with
Emilio
And Jack Cowart.
Thanks for listening.